They say spirits don't cry, but that night, the wind carried a sound soft, broken, and full of grief. It was coming from the ground beneath the old baobab tree, a whisper of sorrow that chilled the air. In the quiet, sun-drenched village of Umud, there lived a boy named Tari. He was the only son of a widowed mother, Amina. Their life was a tapestry woven with threads of hardship, yet Amina's laughter was the golden thread that made even the poorest days feel rich and full of light. Her most treasured possession, a simple yet elegant golden necklace, was passed down from her grandmother. She often told Tari it held the prayers and hopes of their ancestors, a link to the spirits who watched over them. "It's our history," she'd say, her eyes sparkling, "our strength." When Tari was just 16, a shadow fell over their small hut. A relentless illness came for Amina, slowly stealing the light from her eyes. Tari never left her side. He held her hand, his young heart filled with a desperate plea, begging the gods, the ancestors, anyone who would listen, for just one more day, one more smile. But death, as it often doesn't wait for tears to dry. On her final, shallow breath, she whispered words that would haunt him for years to come. "When you miss me, talk to the necklace. I'll be listening." After she was laid to rest under the watchful eyes of the village elders, an unbearable weight settled on Tari's shoulders. The golden necklace, once a symbol of love and heritage, now felt like a searing brand of his grief. He couldn't bear to look at it, couldn't stand the memories it held. The pain was a physical thing, a shard of glass in his chest. With a heavy heart and tear-streaked face, he walked to the ancient baobab tree at the edge of the village. He dug a small hole in the rich, dark earth and buried the necklace, making a silent, desperate promise to himself and to the spirits that he would never return. He had to forget. He had to survive. 10 years passed. A decade is a long time, long enough to build a new life, long enough to bury the old one. Tari left the village, chasing the promise of work and a fresh start in the sprawling, chaotic city. He built walls around his heart, brick by painful brick. He hardened his emotions, burying them deep inside, just as he had buried that necklace all those years ago. He became a man of few words and even fewer feelings, convinced that forgetting was the only way to move forward. But fate, as it turns out, has a long memory and doesn't forget promises made under the shadow of a baobab tree. One evening, a storm of biblical proportions raged across the countryside. Rain fell in blinding sheets, and the wind howled like a hungry wolf. It was on this night that Tari's car, old and unreliable, finally gave up, sputtering to a halt on a muddy, deserted road. As lightning split the bruised sky, illuminating the landscape in a flash of ghostly white, he saw it. Looming in the distance, silhouetted against the violent sky, was the old baobab tree. It looked older, more gnarled, its branches like skeletal fingers reaching for the heavens. But somehow, it also looked alive, pulsing with an ancient energy he hadn't felt in a decade. As thunder rolled, shaking the very ground beneath his feet, he heard it. A whisper, carried on the wind, cutting through the drumming of the rain. "Tari, my son." He froze, his blood turning to ice. The voice was faint, ethereal, but unmistakable. It was his mother's. He tried to tell himself it was just the wind, his mind playing tricks on him. But the wind howled louder, and with it came another sound, a faint, chilling noise like chains dragging through wet soil. Panic seized him. He turned to run, to flee back to the cold, emotionless life he had built. But the ground trembled violently, and from the earth beneath the baobab tree, something began to rise. The necklace, the one he had buried with his grief, emerged from the mud, glowing with a soft, ethereal light. Tears, hot and unfamiliar, instantly filled his eyes. For the first time in 10 years, the walls around his heart crumbled. He walked towards the tree as if in a trance, his legs moving on their own. He knelt, his hands shaking, and reached out to pick up the glowing pendant. The moment his fingers touched the cool metal, the world dissolved around him. He saw her, Amina, standing there in the pouring rain, not as a ghost but as a memory made real. She was smiling, that same faint, loving smile he had tried so hard to forget. "You left me here, my son," she whispered, her voice a mix of sorrow and infinite love. "But I never left you." Tari fell to his knees, a raw, guttural sob tearing from his throat. He wept like a child, the years of suppressed pain, guilt, and loneliness crashing down on him in a tidal wave of emotion. Every mistake he'd made, every silent year he'd spent running from his own heart, came rushing back. And in that moment of complete surrender, he finally understood. She hadn't cursed him for leaving. She hadn't been haunting him. She had simply been waiting for him to stop running, to turn around, and to forgive himself. He clutched the necklace to his chest, its warmth spreading through him, chasing away the cold that had lived in his soul for so long. As he held it, the raging storm began to fade. The thunder softened to a distant rumble, and the wind, once a howl of grief, turned into a soft, gentle breeze, like a mother's lullaby. When the first rays of the morning sun broke through the clouds, the necklace no longer glowed. It was just a simple piece of gold, warm from his touch, but its warmth stayed in his palm, a constant, comforting presence. And for the first time in 10 years, Tari smiled, a real, genuine smile that reached his eyes. Sometimes love doesn't die with us. It doesn't get buried in the ground. It just waits patiently, quietly for us to come home. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey today. If this story touched your heart, please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel for more stories like this one. It truly means the world. We'll see you in the next one.